solid.
Yeah. Ouch. Okay, I think I'm in here. All right. What is going on, everybody? Captain Cody Davis here for episode number 3 of the Tight Splice Charters podcast. And I flew in a very special guest for this very special episode. We have my wife, Breezy, here for the first time.
Hey, y'all.
So typically, we would maybe be doing this drinking a cold beer or 5 or have a margarita. But instead, we are being true parents right now. We have a baby monitor. For some reason, we have a decorated little tree. You can tell Breezy's on this podcast with a candle. We are drinking unspiked coffee at 10:30 at night. And also, not only is the baby asleep and us just chilling out because we have to work tomorrow, but my parents are staying here. I don't even know why. They just kind of showed up. But instead of just going to bed and letting us do our thing, they're awkwardly drinking coffee right there and listening to us talk. So, yeah, we're just going to roll with that. I'm sure my family members that watch my videos are dying laughing right now because they can picture it. So can I, because I'm looking at it. But Breezy asked me like 10 times what we're going to talk about. I told her I have no idea. Just sit down. We're going to turn the microphones on and see what happens. So I really don't know where this is going to go, so I'm going to kind of ramble for a minute. This weekend is the Roland Martin Marine Series Championship. Me and Kelly are going to be fishing for somewhere between 30 or 40 grand. I don't know. We're supposed to be typically 4 qualifiers throughout the year. The third one ended up getting canceled due to weather. Roland Martin Marine Series crew did the right thing, in my opinion, for canceling that day. And they canceled it. They had already rescheduled that event to begin with because of Hurricane Ian that came through in the beginning of the year or earlier in the year. So at the end of the day, Raymond really ran out of weekends, but he had to cancel the event. It wouldn't have been safe to be out there with a 16-foot lake. So I don't know how that's going to affect the grand prize come this weekend, but either way, I don't care if it's 5 grand or 40 grand. It's a lot of money to me. Maybe not to Kelly. He's rich. He has like a real job. So I don't know, but we'll see. So Breezy will not be fishing in that because this is take 2 already. I messed up a little bit. So she already kind of explained that she fit the first event. Lake was 3 weeks old. So she probably could have fished it. She wanted to fish it, but it was rough that day. And
I'm not leaving my baby at 3 weeks
That's
old.
true. We had a 3-week-old at home. Good thing I wasn't there because I probably, would have been like, I'll just take him on the boat. So she stayed home. The second one, she did fish. She fished, caught a bunch of fish, no size. And then, well, you explained. Typically, the schedule for this event now.
The third one's usually the beginning of October, which is my mom's birthday weekend. So, my dad's not going to be able to fish that one. You should all relate to that. The fourth one is always around Thanksgiving, which is the rut in South Georgia usually. So the deer are calling, and my dad and I must go. Yeah. So we did not qualify for the championship. So he's going to fish it, hopefully bring home some money. And I hope to bring home some deer meat because I'm heading back to Georgia tomorrow.
Yeah, so you guys hear in my videos all the time, I say Breezy's in Georgia. Everyone's like, a lot of people that watch my videos often know that we do a lot of, she does a lot of deer hunting in South Georgia. I'm just now getting into it. I do love it. But also with my work schedule, obviously a lot of my work days are on weekends. So she does work for her dad, and her dad's pretty badass. So he likes to hunt and fish just as much as we do. And he's the boss. So if he says we're not open Friday and we're leaving Thursday night to go to Georgia, she's the employee, so she goes. So I have to stay and work, or I have tournaments, but they go up there and, they're obviously deer hunting on the property. Her deer is actually at her stand right now.
Like, it makes me so mad.
Right before we hit play or record, her deer's in front of her stand, not just grazing by. He's been there for 20 minutes, literally notifying her right now. So
yeah, I've been after him for a while, and he's very nocturnal. I saw him for like 60 seconds the week of Thanksgiving when we finally had some cool weather up there. 2 small bucks were fighting, which is the first time I've seen that. So that was really cool. And he came to poke his head out. And I didn't want to take a headshot. I needed him to take one more step. And of course, he's smart. That's why he's big. That's why I want him. And he went back into the woods. But at least I saw him. So I've been camping out between a morning spot and an afternoon spot. and haven't seen him. Last week it got warm and he came out at night at like 5 of our stands. He's all across property. And I told everyone he's mine. I need him over my fireplace. But they gave me enough weeks, so now whoever sees him, he's going down. So I better see him Friday morning.
Yeah, and she's actually going. She has to go to a wedding, which I was supposed to go to. Sorry, Colby, but which is really funny is that who I consider Colby one of my friends too, but one of her best friends, Colby and Tyler, are getting married. But this falls right on our championship. Funny enough, Kelly, my partner, was asked to be in a wedding and told them a different wedding, but he's skipping it to fish this tournament. So we're gonna piss a lot of people off if we bomb. So hopefully we do good. But she's gonna try and hunt Friday morning. She's gonna stop. It's in Atlanta.
Outside of Atlanta.
Outside of Atlanta.
Town.
So her and her mom and the baby are going to drive up, stay in the property, hopefully kill a deer Friday morning, and then head to the wedding.
So I only have Friday morning, and my brother-in-law, my dad, and our mechanic are going up, and they've got their eye on him too. My dad just sent me the game camera pictures, and he's been there, like Cody said, for 20 minutes at my favorite stand that I've been camping out at. Yep. Nocturnal.
So hopefully she gets that done, because then she'll be very happy. And then, I don't know, we'll have a cool head mount to put over our fireplace. That's literally what we're doing. We're in here in our little game room kind of thing, and she's got 3 European mounts on the wall. We got some fish mounts in here, but in our living room, she wants to kill a big deer, do a nice head mount over the fireplace, because who doesn't want that? So hopefully she does that. But as far as the lake, as far as the tournament goes, I don't know how much weight. I said 43 pounds for 2 days, obviously over the course of 2 days. The thing is right now, which it actually seems like this happens a lot for this tournament, is so every tournament day, whether it's the Royal Martin, whether it's a BFL, whether it's whatever, the weather is always junk. It's always terrible. Beautiful during the week. It looks like it's going to line up to be stable and warm like it has been. It's been still August outside. I don't know what it was today. Well, you saw in your car going to work, like 86, 87, no wind, hot, humid. The water temperature as of yesterday was like 76, I think. So it's going to do a couple of things. One, it's the water's up extremely high, so it's already dispersing the fish. I know I sound like a broken record. I keep saying this. 2, you got fish doing everything, because there's not fish doing what they're supposed to be. I mean, there's fish doing what they're supposed to be. There's fish on beds. I caught fish that were post-spawn yesterday. There's fish pre-spawn. But also with the stable weather we've had all week leading up to the tournament, last weekend and in the events, the lake's been fishing very small. I really think this is going to open things up. Lake's going to fish big. So I say 43 pounds, it might take 50. Someone might find 20, someone might take 60. I mean, someone might literally catch 30 pounds a day, because there's a lot of people in this event. There's a lot of really good teams in this event. And what I was getting to is, it seems like this tournament every year, the weather pans out for the event. But I think this is the first time that it's actually been stable for a week leading up to it. So it's going to give all that water time to clean and stuff. So, and like I said, I caught fish literally as far back as you could go yesterday. And what day did I run that trip with those guys in their boat? It was Sunday. Sunday, I ran a trip in the afternoon, was on the shoal. Kind of a vague term. I'm not going to give you right where I was, but on the very far outside at sundown, and all hell broke loose out there, guys. Like, it was, we caught them on a chatterbait, a trap, a square bill, a worm, a spook, a swim jig, a spinner bait. They were just foaming all on the outside. Nice fish. We had like 18 pounds. And we were literally flipping the grass for an hour and a half without as much as a pop or a ripple. And all of a sudden, I texted her. I was like, we are crushing them. It was 3 of us in the boat. I was in a customer's boat, and just every cast. And it was crazy, because my customer didn't have poles on his boat, but he had spot lock. And I hit the spot lock, and like there were times where somebody would get hung. So he'd almost be pulling the boat towards the grass, and the spot lock would auto-correct the boat and kick the trolling motor and blow the water out, and it would blow the shad out from under the boat, and they were just feeding up. So there's fish everywhere. south end, north end, all up the shoal. There's fish being caught in the river. I know people catch them in the rim canal. So
I hear there's bait everywhere.
There's bait everywhere.
And you're on a full moon.
And on a full moon, so there's gonna be fish. I mean, it's gonna make it tough because fish. People always ask about the full moon. That's the biggest question I get. Breezy's always sitting there with me when customers call. They want to base around the full moon. The full moon, like, here's the thing people got to get about the full moon, at least here on Okeechobee. The full moon does, so I think throughout the country, the full moon puts the fish on the bed, which if the full moon's here and the conditions are right for them to spawn, it helps. It's just going to make it better. But like I say before, they've been on bed since September. If our conditions are right, it don't matter if a comet hits the moon and we don't have a moon anymore. They don't give a damn about the moon. They're going to spawn when it waters between 68 and 74 degrees. It's stable and warming, and they have good bottom and clean water. There's going to be fish on the bed. So there's going to be fish on the bed. I feel like the fish that aren't spawning, that are pre-spawn, that are just feeding, the bite's going to be terrible until like noon, right? That's usually how it works. They don't bite till 12 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So it's probably going to be one people are going to, if you're on spawning fish where you were catching 15 pounds, you might roll in there and catch 30. If you're on shad fish, you might zero until 2 o'clock, and then you might run out of time if you need a late boat number. I don't know. It's going to be weird to see. It's going to be good. I'm going to try and do a really good job at filming it, the whole thing, going to the captain's meeting and all that. This should be, today is Wednesday. I'm hoping this is going to drop, well, tomorrow. So, I don't know. So, good luck to everybody. I'm sure I'll see you guys all at the meeting, everyone who watches this. And hopefully Breezy kills a big deer Friday. We'll see. So I should have done like a Q&A thing. I should have asked you guys to reply with questions that you would like me to ask Breezy. But I'm going to do that. That's what this is going to be, because we're going to do another one of these. Hopefully Breezy's on the podcast a lot.
I really don't like doing it.
She doesn't like it. But maybe we can open a bottle of tequila and make a bunch of margaritas, and then she'll talk about everything. But so she's going to be on here some more. So if there's any questions that you can think of to ask Breezy, leave them in the comments here. And she yells at me. So long story short, I don't even know I have an email. I have an email, obviously, but I check it once every 3 months. She checks it. Terrible. She checks it 15 times a day. So
I'll get your emails. Yes. But getting him to go on his email to reply is like pulling teeth. If
you email me asking for a date available and I reply back, that's me. But if you ask a question in my email and it replied back, that's her. If it's about a trip, usually she's just like, I'm not going to open it till you look at your book. But if it's a question, she usually answers it because I don't ever get it. So she also yells at me about all of my...
I yell at you for a lot.
She yells at me for everything. But also for that I don't reply to you guys on YouTube that leave comments.
I apologize for
that. I know I don't ever read the comments. I'm a big Joe Rogan fan. I'm a big fan of the post and ghost. Like, I don't know if you guys leave negative comments. Maybe people don't like me. I don't know.
Rarely you get a negative one, but you get some just easy little questions.
But I just want to post and keep rolling. So I'm very bad about reading comments and especially bad about replying. But this one, I'm going to...
I can't reply to your fishing question because he and I fish completely different.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be answering the way
Hence why, so me and her met out here on Lake Okeechobee. We got engaged on Lake Okeechobee. We named our son Lake after Lakin.
We tried to get married on Lake Okeechobee, but it just wasn't working.
Yes. So
we got married on a pond with bass that we released bass.
Yes, we did. It was cool. So like we literally met fishing. We eat, sleep, and breathe fishing. But you notice we very rarely that tournament that me and her won in August was our first event that we fished together in over a year. Our first time bass fishing in general in over a year together. We put in the Keys and all that and snook fishing. But, we met bass fishing. When we first met, we were literally fishing against each other. We were fishing BFLs against each other. There's a spider. ABAs.
No idea who you were.
Yeah. And, but then when we started dating, we started fishing together, but it literally almost broke us up because that is where I talk about you could take the two best, and there's been many teams like this where it's two of the best fishermen on the lake on the same team, and everyone's like, oh my God, we might as well donate our money because so and so have partnered up this year. But they only last a year, or they only, because you could put the two, and this goes back to saltwater too. You could put the best fishermen in a boat. I mean, you look at all the sailfish events and stuff, you get these teams that just look like absolute, every slayer in the area is in this boat, but they don't ever work because they're good and they fish different. They do what they do. Whereas I'd always, I want to go left and go flip these pennyworts. And she'd say, no, we need to go drag a worm on this shell.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically, like, even if there was 30 pounds under the mats, she didn't want to be in there, which makes me not fish as good and she's not having confidence in it. And then we go to the shell, I don't want to drag a worm.
No.
So
he wanted to go left, I'd go right.
Yeah.
I want to cast, he wants to flip.
Right. So
I'd go to power pole down, his foot's on the trolling motor.
Yes. So that's where I always say, find you a partner where you guys don't have to fish exactly the same. Like me and Kelly doesn't own a worm. He doesn't own a Senko. He won't throw it. Like I always tell the joke, you guys saw me and him won a tournament back like 2 years ago in October on a speed worm. He literally didn't weigh a fish in. I don't think he caught a fish all day because I caught 40, 50 fish, but he would not pick up a worm. And that's like her with a jig. You guys saw in that tournament, we had 27 pounds. She caught, obviously, a key fish on a worm, but she never flipped, which is still a good thing.
Even if I flip behind you, it's like going behind a vacuum.
Yeah.
So just give me a worm in open water and let him do his thing.
Yes, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
As long as like me and Kelly both like to flip, but then like the worm, he'll say, well, listen, I'm going to put the boat like this so I can flip this, and you throw your worm out here. Same thing with Kelly with like a spinner bait. He likes a spinner bait. I don't throw it. So like there's times where I'll be like, man, I'll find fish, and you guys that have chartered with me know like I don't own a spinner bait. But I'll be like, Kelly will catch them here on the spinner bait because he likes throwing it. I won't throw it. She likes a spinner bait. So you just got to find something that you gel with. You don't have to necessarily fish exactly the same, but I don't know. But I feel like I've grown a lot more of an sense of how am I trying to say that? As an angler since me and you first started fishing together. So that's why I think we fished.
It was really tough when we first started dating because I was heavy into the tournaments, and being out of college, I kind of got to take a year off. Like I can go into work and then I'm headed to the lake, and my dad was okay with that. I was learning the business, but he wanted me to try to go professional back then, and I was on the lake at least 3 full days a week. So I was in the groove. I knew what was going on. I knew where I needed to go. Well, he would come up on the weekends, and he would base off his history with his old partners, and well, that looks good, I need to flip that. He knows what to flip. I don't at all. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm a caster, and so it didn't work. I was like, no, I caught fish here. Well, he's catching them over here. It didn't work. And now that I'm not out there nearly as much as I want to be, I let him run it. He's out there 7 days a week. I'm not. So I'm fine just moving to the back, letting him do his thing, and now we're getting better as a team.
It's more like she just has to take my word for it that there's fish there because she doesn't know any different. It's funny, like, so the spot where me and Kelly plan on starting this event and hopefully leaving with 15 pounds both mornings, we're hoping. When I told him where I'm fishing, he changed the subject. I went back there in practice, had some more big bites, literally just changed the subject when I talked to him about it. We went practicing 2 days ago. I got in there and he looked at me like, we're not doing this. We're not fishing here. His first flip, he catches a 4-pounder. Well, now he's all excited about it. It's one of those things where like you have to be there and see it unfold, and it happened. And like some of these areas where I'd show up on Saturday, like she had been fishing there Thursday and Friday, and I get there and I'm like, I'm not going to fish here. This doesn't look good to me. But she found them there. She's catching them there. So it looks good to her, kind of thing. And the same thing with me, like where I look at what I want to flip, maybe she doesn't like to if she can help it, she doesn't like to flip. She got second in a BFL flipping, which this is the stupidest thing about the whole
First
thing.
time
Her-
flipping, really like trying to flip, and I'm terrible at it. I'm not accurate. I'm loud. It was just my day
she's really
until Benny catches a 10-pounder because my fish moved out to his spot, and he comes by, Breezy, I got a 10-pounder, and he won, but he deserved it.
no, that's not the one he won.
Yeah.
No,
No, that was the next one.
that was the next one. I remember that. But her and her dad are the same way. Like she caught big fish at the BFL, right? That tournament.
Yeah.
She got big fish
My
and got second.
flip of the morning, I got my big fish.
Like an 8-11.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And she got second in an event, and then wants nothing to do with flipping.
No.
At the same time, I remember we were practicing for a BFL out of the North End. You went with your dad. I was in your dad's flats boat because I didn't even have a boat at the time. And he said, yeah, you could take my flats boat. I don't even know who you are. You're running around with my daughter, but don't break it. And I was at Indian Prairie on the outside flipping a jig, and I caught 2 7s and 2 5s in like 8 flips. And I called them, and I said, Indian, I don't know where I'm at. Oh, I could see Indian Prairie pole. It's going off. They run up there. Her dad ties a jig on. 4th flip, catches like a 6.5 and says, we're going to throw a rattle trap somewhere, and leaves. And I was like,
that's just not.
But every time I flip with her dad, he catches giants.
Oh, he's caught a few 10-pounders, and they were flipping.
They're all flipping, but he doesn't do it. But I guess it's kind of like me with, rattle trap, which leads us to our next thing.
Give me a trap and a worm. I'm good to go all day.
Here's the thing. So there's a lure. Everyone knows what a rattle trap is. Everyone fishes a rattle trap. Everyone uses it as a schooler or a limit getter or this or that. And when I tell people on the boat that my wife is really good with a rattle trap, her and her dad do very well, they've won a lot of money on the rattle trap, this, that, and the other thing, I think people are under the assumption, and I'm not bragging, making sure this thing's still running, I'm not bragging on my wife or anything when I say this, but I think people are under the impression that you throw a rattle trap because you throw it out and you reel it in and you have to not have any idea what you're doing. You're a girl, you just sit in the back of the boat, you stand up for a little while, you throw it out there, you reel it in, and the fish is going to hook itself because of the big treble hooks, and that's why you throw a rattle trap. And because it catches a lot of little fish, and you might get lucky and snag a big one, but that is the complete opposite of what not only her, but her and her dad are like known for on Lake Okeechobee, which is a reason I kind of wanted to talk to you with the camera on, because I know what you guys do. But her and her dad are literally probably the only team, and I say this to my customers, that will fish this event. I could guarantee you, if they were fishing this weekend, they would leave, and there would not be a rod with braid, and the only rod that would have a single hook on it would either be an Alabama rig or a big worm, or a Carolina rig, which is a worm. They're going to sit offshore out here, and they're going to milk. And I mean, that's where you caught your biggest fish, was in this tournament in December. Mm-hmm. So going back to this again, I did not fish it because I was fishing with this was this tournament, the Royal Mart Marine Series. It was in 2018. I don't know. It was a few years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. But in December, who won that?
Probably Justin Morgan.
He did.
He probably did. He's won like what, 3?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the one. Chris and Kale came in second, I think. I don't know. But either way, my partner couldn't fish it. I worked. I was I was just starting guiding. Mm-hmm. And I mean, here's a perfect example. People were catching them spawning. I think the guys who won it caught them spawning, caught them on a frog, a skinny dipper, stuff like that. Yes, and I had practiced, and I had found a group of fish. I told her and her dad about it, and I think they checked it. That didn't work. They were in the dynamite hole. I caught them schooling, and then they ran around and fished and did this and did that, and I forget what you guys had the first day. You didn't do horrible. I keep thinking that you guys did, because you guys got a decent check.
Got a decent check.
So they caught fish, but like it was random. Caught them in Westwall at the end of the day or something. So then, and then so the next day I'm working. And her dad, I talked to her that night. Her dad's like, we're just going for a big one. And I was at their house, or their dad's house, and he literally had on, they had 4 Rattle Trap rods on the front deck. And
Hero or zero.
Hero or zero, which is not what you think of when you're talking about throwing a lipless or a trap. Most people, they think like you're just going to get a limit. But I forget, you had like 20 pounds, but you had one just under 10 pounds.
I swear she was 10.
The stupidest fish ever. Like, not how she caught it, but you look at this thing, and I've shown people pictures. Like, it looks like an 11 or a 12.
It was huge.
It like
my dad put it in the net, and I've never caught a 10. And he said, "There's your 10." And if my dad says the 10, I believe everything he says. He's always right. But it was just under.
Just under, but it was.
But she looked massive.
But it was, yeah, it was huge. Like, it was.
Yeah, we should have reweighed her on another scale too.
I was working, and she texted me, "I just caught a big one," and I'm thinking a 5 or a 6. And then she said, "My dad thinks it's 10." And I said, "Okay." And I dropped my guide party off. I went to the tiki bar. It's pounding.
I asked you to bring me a scale, but you were already there.
Yes. And watched the weigh in. There was a lot of big fish caught that day. There was like 4 9s weighed in or something. They bit. Cody Farnham, and I keep messing up your name, Cody. Sorry, but and GoPro Vito caught 2
there
2
were,
9s.
because I was like biting my nails.
Yes. But it was big fish of the year, which was cool, and her personal best, which we have hanging on the wall. We let the fish go. Got her up, good done. But
she was gorgeous.
And this fish was caught nowhere around grass. It was caught. I'm not going to disclose where they fish or anything like that, but it was caught out in the open lake. And
1 ounce trap.
On a 1 ounce rattle trap. So what's cool about, her dad, his grandparent, his
grandparents, my great-grandparents.
Their great-grandparents were commercial catfish fishermen out here in Lake Okeechobee. So when you commercial catfish and you're dragging these lines around or whatever, I mean, they're out in the open lake, but the amount of big bass, your great-grandmother and stuff would come. I mean, I see the pictures of her holding 4 10s, black and white, on a pole that got in the way of her catfish. Mm-hmm. So her dad has, and now you do, but has confidence in what we all think about. When we all look out there, like, they're living out there. Her dad will say, "Well, yeah, dumbass. I mean, it's a 730 square mile lake. Yeah, they live out there." But he's seen it, and he's caught them. And they have spots. Some of you have been lucky enough to be in the boat with me when we fished them, but they have offshore spots. And our
2 biggest bags came from offshore.
Yeah,
just under 30 each time on traps and worms.
Yes. So it was back-to-back weekends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. In June. One was Father's Day weekend. We got our biggest bag together. And
what's the thing that sets them apart is, like she said, like, when they go, that's it. I mean, they're there for the duration of the day. And like, with those 30-pound bags you guys weighed in back-to-back weekends, you had 6 bites both days.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's with the crazy thing that they do, and I mean, you could talk about it, but it's like, you lay the trolling motor down at 7, and you're making the same cast for the most part for sometimes 4 or 5 hours. But then in 9 casts, you can catch 25 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which is super cool. But what's even crazier than that, for any of you that are listening from out of the country, when you're thinking you're fishing a ledge or an offshore rock pile or a hole, you're thinking like a 10-foot drop. I mean, your one best spot, the drop goes, how big is the drop? Like the ledge?
Couple feet, few feet.
At the most. I mean, you're talking, it goes from, it's a 2-foot ledge.
But that's all they know. They don't know it's supposed to be deeper.
Right. So that's what our fish relate to. And that's what makes it difficult. Like, it's easy when you could throw a worm or a sea rig out there and drag it and you feel it come up that big ledge, or you feel it fall off. You're like, oh, I'm throwing it the juice. I'm throwing it some cover, or, something where a bass should be. I mean, when I go out there with you guys, it's just like.
But we know. We've hit every little nick. We know every little nook and cranny we're supposed to hit. We're not used to the 10-foot ledge. We're used to that one.
Right. So it's crazy to go with her dad. This is before her dad just put a 360 on his boat and an Ultrex. It was 4Trex and 2D sonar, and he would fish and never look at where he casted. He's constantly looking at that unit at his waypoints, and he would just throw, and he'd be like, "This is going to sound like a lie, but I swear to God, I'd been out there with him." I'm going to tell this story. I fished a King of the Glades Classic one year in July or June with my nephew. And her dad said, Cody, you need to go to beep and stay there all day. You just need to go to beep and stay there all day. So I went. I was in her Ranger, had everything. I had the secret plugs. I had everything, the way they rig them. I had her boat with the waypoints, everything. I went there. I sat there for 4.5 hours, and I weighed in one. I didn't even go to weigh in, but I caught one 13-inch bass on a chartreuse crankbait. I said, that's it. You know, it's summertime. It's hot. I'm going to the Keys. We're going snapper fishing, lobstering, hanging out at the sandbar. I'm done with the lake for a while. That's it. I hooked her boat up. I drove from Clewiston. I was backing it into her parents' house, and her dad walked out drinking a Pepsi and said, I'm going to the lake. Do you want to go? And I said, yep. He never even asked me how the tournament went. He never asked anything. Put the boat in. We had like an hour and a half left, and we ran. Again, I forget what we were talking about. Something at work happened or something he was telling me about. I don't know. Or maybe he was telling me about the Keys. Maybe Bill Leonard caught fish or something. I don't know. And he ran his boat to the waypoint that I sat on for 6 hours. And I said, I'm not even going to say anything. And he stood up, and I never forget, I undid my trap, and he said, hold on, don't throw yet. And he lined that boat up, and he did a cast like this. Never looked up. And I watched that line sink, and he just, there he is, get the net. And he caught a 7, and on the next cast, he caught a 5 on the front hook and a 5 on the back hook, and we sat there till it got dark. And he told me, well, did you throw it at this angle? Because if you don't throw it at this angle, you ain't going to get bit. And it's like, and we sat there till it got dark and caught him at this spot.
It's still hard for me to fish those spots without him, even though I have the waypoints and I know where I need to be, because he's so dialed in that when I was going all the time, I caught a lot of fish out there by myself. But then now that I've gotten out of it, I have to relearn it, because he knows, like you said, every cast to make, what we're supposed to hit, when we're supposed to hit it, and
yeah,
he's on it.
He's on it, and it's really cool, because I think realistically, like, you know, everyone knows Steve Lake. If you don't know who Steve Lake is, then don't watch my channel. He's the most badass man in the world.
We kind of named our son after him.
Kind of. I mean, he fights off bears in Alaska and like literally rows Alaska, literally through Alaska on a rowboat for 2 months. He's crazy. Guide on the lake, awesome dude. But like, he fishes the Rim Canal, and he's probably the only other person that I would say really does like what you guys do. And there's other people. Kelly, my tournament partner, who's, for those of you that don't know, my tournament partner is her dad's best friend. That's how I met him. So he has some of it, but I mean, her dad's willing to die out there. But when it happens, it's crazy. But like I said, they fish a lipless or a crankbait, or just, I feel like people are under the me for a rattle trap, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to go throw a trap here and then go here. And like, when you say that, it's like, I'm going to go there and get a limit, and then I'm going to go flip. Whereas they'll go start in the grass to get their limit, but where they go to do their thing offshore, we're just going to call it offshore, it's not fast and furious 90% of the time. It's a grind.
You got to sit there all day.
And I think, like, you know, I one of the coolest things, I think, the live target bluegill was the ABA, right? That you caught a big one on. Mm-hmm. So like, I remember she had a tournament out of the north end, and essentially wasn't catching them. It was flat, it was calm, clean. You basically crossed the lake, and you weighed in like 25 and a half with basically 4 fish. You had 5.
Yeah, I had one I needed to get rid of.
Like a squeaker. Like, yeah. And Cale Stevens won.
Yeah, I think he beat me every time that year.
Yeah, he was on fire. But
by like ounces, though.
But you only caught, how many fish did you catch that day?
6.
6. So you're out there throwing, like, I don't know, maybe it's my mindset that like you think you're going to catch a bunch on a moving bait, or like a lot of people will go start with their moving baits and then go flip. I've seen it where they go start in the grass. Your dad will say, we're going to go start here, throw a swim jig, and
A
then
lot of times too, when we have co-anglers, we're like, well, they need to get their limit in the grass, and then we can go. So we feel bad for them. You know, it's a
yeah,
grind. But my co-angler in that ABA, thank goodness they only weigh in 3, but he had 3 good fish.
yeah,
He did good.
because it's not what you would, I don't know, and maybe we're rambling about this a long time, but it's not what you would typically think. Like, it's really cool to see, but then it's also cool how you could literally sit there for hours. And then I remember, I mean, it happened. The only time I really had it happen where we had a good bag, me and your dad had like 24 pounds in that Gerard's tournament. Jared had like 36 and a half or something. But we fished this spot, and Jared caught his fish in like 10 minutes, and he ended up running by us and said he had 30, which kind of knocked the wind out of our sails. But I'll never forget, your dad said, we can catch that here. That lives here if they bite. And it was like 10:30. We hadn't had a bite. And then all of a sudden, I say we had 24 pounds. He caught 24 pounds in like no time, because they'll just turn on. And I feel like they do that in the grass too, but it's like, it answers the question to where, do those fish live? People ask me all the time, can you go out there and catch them? You can, but it's very situational, and you have to be willing to just, I mean, this is before live scope, 360, all that. There's just throwing and almost basically just hoping and praying, but it happens. And she caught that 970, whatever it was, in December when everyone else was flipping mats and catching them spawning. These fish live offshore. They live out there. They roam around out there. Her fish didn't even look like a Lake Okeechobee bass. It was gold.
Gold.
It was it looked like a goldfish. I mean, they just, these big pelagic fish that run around out there chasing shad. I don't know. I mean, it's just it's like a natural wonder of the world. Like, everyone's so fascinated with it. They live out there, but like, I tell people, like, yeah, my wife and father-in-law catch the crap out of them out there, but they've got it dialed in. And you guys usually throw a 1 ounce or a 3/4 ounce.
3/4 or 1 ounce traps. Yeah.
Yep. 20-pound mono.
20-pound big game.
And that's it. And it's, I don't know how they do that. But then you've caught them, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. She catches them in the grass too. She's one of the best swim jig fishermen I know. Catches a lot on the swim jig.
I like swim jig.
Swim jig's good. But you've been, so like, for those people that don't know, your dad got you into it when you were like,
Ooh, really young. He'd pick me up from elementary school, and we'd head to the lake, and we'd fish till dark. I couldn't tell you what age, but I was young enough to get super bored with it, but he'd still take me. And I would take his old soft plastics. I'd reach over, I'd get a lily pad or something, and I would literally like shred the lily pad, pull apart his worms. Like, was it Charlie's worms that had all those little ribs? Every little rib I would cut. And I made salad, and I'd sprinkle it in the water, and I was just feeding the fish. Anything to keep me entertained. My dad let me do it, playing in the live well, whatever it took. He kept taking me out there. I wasn't, fishing tournaments or anything like that with him. And I'd reel in his fish, or he'd set the hook and hand me the rod. At that point, I was like, I don't know, probably my nephew's age, around 5 or 6. Caught my first bass by myself. I was probably 7 or 8, where I actually casted a bait caster, set the hook, reeled in, did the whole thing. By the way, I don't fish with spinning reels. I'm terrible at it. My dad started me out with a bait caster. I don't know how many times he had to get my backlashes out, but he doesn't fish with spinners either.
Weirdest thing ever, because one of our first dates, we went snook fishing, I remember. And I'm like, I mean, I know this, like, listen, I was kind of skeptical too, right? This is very, I don't want to use the word sexist, but I'm like, I mean, I know this girl can go fishing, but it's like, I was, what's the word? Like, doubtful? Not doubtful. I knew you knew how to fish, but like, it's like, man, like, is she getting lucky? Is she Did she throw a rattle trap in the rim canal and catch? Does she? I don't know. I didn't really know her. I just knew she was beautiful and cool, and I met her on the lake. So I took her snook fishing, and we go to this bridge, and I'm like, all right, yeah, this girl, she's got a boat, she can fish, this and that. And I hand her a spinning rod and tell her to throw a damn swim bait out there, and it looked like I gave my, no offense to my customers that don't fish, I gave them a rod, and I was
I don't
like,
do spinning
this girl
reels.
she's a fluke. This is fake. And she's like, I don't do spinning reels. And I was like, okay, granted, she could literally take that swim jig and put it in a cup from 40 yards with a bait caster. But she's like, yeah, my dad never started me on a spinning reel. She
Nope.
only grew up throwing a bait
Straight
caster.
to bait casters.
Yeah. But yeah. But then, I don't know. So then you gradually just got into.
Yeah. The older I got, the more I wanted to go. And one day after school, we went, and it was just almost dark. Back when we had a hayfield, I know Cody talks about the hayfield. Back when it was like tall and beautiful, and you had these little pockets, and it opened up, and you have to push through the tall grass to get through there. Like you could hear people talking, but you couldn't see them. Like that's the hayfield I grew up with. And he put us in one little pocket, and I'm casting along pretty decent. And I think it was a dipper at the time, skinny dipper. And I was actually able to cast out and see the bass waking up, and I could pause it, set the hook, like I could see him coming. And since then, like we had a phenomenal afternoon. My mom's calling, like, can you get my daughter home? It's dark, there's mosquitoes. I'm like, no, they are biting. And I was hooked from then on. And then I started gradually fishing in smaller little tournaments with him, and it just grew from there.
So that's like a tip for any of you that just want to get like your kid into fishing. I'm going to obviously be doing it with Lake sooner than later here. But like I get a lot of people on my boat that are trying to get their kids into fishing. And I feel like a lot of people take it too serious because like the kid will fish 15, 20 minutes and then he wants to play in the live well with the shiners, or he wants to look at the lures, or Cody, can I look in your boat at your tackle boxes or stuff? And a lot of times I feel like the parents are like, no, leave him alone, we're fishing. Like, don't do that. The kid's out
No,
there.
my dad never did that.
He was let you do.
He's a Lako legend in my eyes, and I'm back there making salad and feeding fish.
Yeah.
But he let me do it, and I didn't get burnt out on it. I didn't be like, this is terrible. I'm not catching anything. I don't want to go back ever again.
So that's like a tip. I feel like if you're trying to get your kid into fishing, is just take them, and I guess like put it in your mind that you're not going fishing today. Yeah. You're taking them fishing.
And don't take them for a whole day either. Like I went from 2 or 3 hours, and that's all I could handle.
Right.
And then you get into it from there.
I heard Tom Rowland, most of you know him from Saltwater Experience. He did a podcast one day or something, and it made the most sense to me. He said, when the fish start biting, tell your kids you got to leave. And he said most people don't do that. You get so excited they're biting, and then the bite dies, and you're like, well, where'd they go? And you're so focused on trying to catch them again, that you burn the kid out. Dad, I want to go home. This is boring. So when they start, just say we ran out of bait. Make up something so that when they go home, they're whining that they want to go fishing again. And you could do that as, that's something that goes back to just not burning them out. Mm-hmm. Like it was perfect. Your dad would pick you up from school and you'd go, it's not 100 degrees. It's cooling off. It's a nice day. Your dad would probably pick when it wasn't blowing 100 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. You go out there, it's a nice day, it's not hot, you're watching it get dark, so like, okay, well, when it's dark, it's going home. So it's not like you don't know when you're going home. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is, and this is, again, not to sound misogynistic or anything, but like, she's a girl doing it too, right? So you have an older sister, she fishes, like, she knows what she's doing. Yeah. She can go fishing, but, your dad didn't have a son. But that doesn't mean you can't have a fishing partner. I mean, she fishes better than 95% of you that book me. I mean, for real, it is what it is. Like, so I don't know. That's a good way to get your kid into fishing. Breezy will tell you, that's how she started. And then probably once you could start like making your own decisions on the water and stuff, then you really
that was a whole new ball game. Like I thought I knew the lake. This is easy. I know what to do. My parents got me a boat when I was 15. because back then I guess you could fish BFLs younger because I might have been 16
I
by
think
the time.
16 is the limit.
Like I got it at 15 to get seat time and learn how to drive a boat. And then on my birthday, it was the 2-day BFL. First tournament without my dad. They entered me as a birthday present. And I was so nervous. I've never liked having co anglers because for multiple reasons. It made me nervous. I had to make sure they were catching, and sometimes they doubted me a lot of time, or, do you know how to drive? Or I think we need to make a move, or things like that. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. And I was like, well, I want fish, spinnerbait fish. We're going to go up here, piece of cake. I got this. I zeroed. I never had a bite, or if I did, I missed them all. My co-angler is an older man, just recently passed away, bless his heart. He was funny. He smoked my butt on a white spinnerbait.
Who was it?
Les Swan.
Les Swan, yeah. So
Yes.
I kind of like a legend in the co-angler game.
Yeah.
Most people, probably, a lot of you may know who he was.
He kicked my butt, and my wheels were spinning. I could see my dad. My dad's catching him. He's down the shoal. We're doing the same thing, and we got back to weigh, and I said, "What happened to me?" It was a whole new. I had to make decisions by myself. I knew where I was, and I wasn't going to get lost or anything, and I knew how to fish, but it was just like my dad was not there to tell me when I needed to make a move or switch baits or do this, and I did not have a good year or two. It was a lot of learning. I kind of wanted to give it up. I'm like, all right, well, I can't do this without you, so I'll just stay doing the, team tournaments. I'm not doing. My dad never let me give up, whether I wanted to or not. I would have like knots in my stomach all week leading up to the next tournament, but he entered me into every single one. As a boater, I've never been a co-angler, and I just had to start from scratch.
But like it was, but what that does, it just made you a better fisherman, obviously.
Oh, but I hated it. I'd get so mad.
But like a big like skill that I feel like you have over a lot of, at least over me as well, is one, patience, but two, like you're very good at moving with your fish too. Like like, and that was something. Well, when I said I've grown, I feel like in the last few years as an angler, both from guiding, but a lot of stuff that you specifically taught me also is like
slow down.
Slow down. That's the biggest thing. Slow down.
He fished so fast.
So fast, and that is you. Brandon Medlock might be the only guy on Lake Okeechobee that makes that work. I don't know how the hell he does it. Like, if you're a co-angler for Brandon Medlock, this is true story. Chris Kelly, I know you're while watching this. Do you even take your life jacket off? No, you don't take your life jacket off. Like, he doesn't even put his trolling motor in the water. He'll run 15 miles, get upwind, pull it back in neutral, turn the key off, hop up, flip to the reed with his jig, not get bit, reel up, sit back down, and 20 miles the other way. And he's won like 10 Toyotas and wins everything. He has. He's like the only person that I could say that makes that work. Jared too. I mean, Jared, but when Jared gets in the juice, he slows down. Mm-hmm. Medlock is another person. But for the most part, you got to fish slow on Okeechobee. And Rick Clun said it best one time. He said, fishing slow in Florida doesn't mean working your bait slow. It means working your boat slow. Mm-hmm. And that's the best way to put it. And I wouldn't do that. And when I started doing that, the more I do that now, I do better. But she was very good at knowing, like, I remember we would fish tournaments together, and I'd have the full confidence because we practiced the weekend before, and me and her, and we'd catch them. And then we'd go back in there like the next weekend, and you'd be like, we need to leave. And I'd be like, we're not leaving. And you'd say something like, the bait's gone. There's no shad in here now. Remember, the whole reason they're in here was because there was bait. And you would follow them. And like, she was very good at, I don't know, moving with them, or just.
You didn't have to go far. You had to move around.
Yeah. Or like, you were very good at showing me like she had fish. I remember, again, going back to being patient. And when I say it in my videos about look for all the ingredients. If it has all the ingredients on this lake, there's usually fish there. And I remember you had fish off the tip of Rita on the Carolina rig. The only reason you found them is you were leaving and you saw the brim beds out there, right? Mm-hmm. You caught them you caught them for shit. I don't know. Weeks. She was on those fish. But like, no one was out there with you, right?
Mm-mm. No, everyone blew right by.
You're right. And she was, but just.
Again, on the outside, heading offshore. Everyone goes to the grass.
Yeah, and she was, yeah, I mean, you were out there. We're like right. I mean, she was offshore, and I remember because I went with you. We didn't fish together for like a couple months, and then we went there at the like after those fish were gone. But you showed me. But she was. I think the lake was low, and you were idling up to get up on plane and saw them, right? And just said, "Well, the water's clean, and there's a billion bluegill here." And it wasn't Fast and Furious then either. But you were one of your ABAs, I think, or BFLs or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think was that a fourth
or
or
a sixth or
something.
something.
Yeah, it was I only had like 18 pounds. I had one good one. To get crossing the lake.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, crossing.
I didn't fish up north.
Yeah,
I was a down south player.
Which, yeah,
I'm still a down south player.
When we get to
when
go fishing.
I go.
When you get to go.
Although when you and I did good, I was up north.
Yeah.
That was you.
You caught a big one and lost a big one.
I was rusty. I'm still rusty.
Well, yeah, I mean, you didn't do nothing wrong. She has like the nastiest hook set for real. Like, and something.
Not in that video.
Yeah, you were fishing a worm.
Oh, yeah.
You know, mono. But the whole, when you guys come fishing with me and we're talking about throwing a big easy, the whole like let them take it thing, that was her also. But I mean, that's the other cool thing when I like fishing with you is when one gets her bait, whether it's a worm or a trap, you really don't lose them. I mean, she doesn't.
My ratio is decent.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
But I wait.
Because she's it with a worm, like it's not like she's putting it in free spool and letting them swallow the bait. But I mean, she doesn't fish fluorocarbon.
No, hate that stuff.
She doesn't fish fluorocarbon. Trilene big game, 20 pound. But when they eat that worm, whereas like most people, or me included, or maybe I don't know, maybe you don't, but like let it get tight and pull. She lets it get tight and then will put like 3 cranks into the fish and then set, and it's just straight meat. I mean, I don't know, you just never lose them.
You get all your slack out.
Yeah, I guess. But like start moving the fish before you even set the hook. Yeah. It's crazy.
And with a big easy or a dipper or anything, if they eat, I don't just wait. I match their button. I give them a little bit, make sure they have it, and then crank up to them.
And they very rarely come off, though. If you can be patient, again, it goes back to patience. She has the most patience out of anyone I've ever been in the boat with, which is cool.
That's the girl in me.
Yeah, I guess. She has to put up with me, so she has patience.
That's why if you take your wives or girlfriends fishing, they're going to catch the bigger one.
Yeah, most of the time when I have a female on my boat, they catch the bigger fish because they're not in a rush, they're relaxed, and they're dragging that burner worm behind the boat or something, and they literally catch the biggest fish. But yeah, hopefully she'll be fishing more tournaments with me this year. So this house we're in, we got married, and long story short, we planned on living where we lived for a couple years, saving up, and getting a house. And we got in a house way sooner than we intended to. So something came up. We got a ridiculous deal on outfit. It was a fixer-upper. Yeah. So
there's an opportunity we couldn't let get by us at the time.
Yeah. So, but we literally had to like gut this house. And this girl here is a Joanna Gaines like fixer-upper freak. So this was like a dream come true. Like she got to basically remodel and redesign a house. So
yeah,
that was a year and a half.
Yeah.
So that was a year and a half off the water because every waking moment.
I fished a Toyota in the beginning, but that's when COVID came along.
That's true.
So everything was canceled. And then I was like, well, I got my deposits back. I'm not fishing the rest. Bombed that one anyway. And then I just focused on the house.
Yeah, so she was on the house.
And you were starting your guide business because he just moved up to little old Belglade.
Right. So she was off for that. Then we got in the house, right? So now she's like, okay, I'm kind of not stress-free, but like, all right, the house is done. And then basically at that point, we had been married 2.5 years or something. So then we started trying to have Lake. So now she's pregnant. She fished while she was pregnant. You did,
I did.
but there's
Whew, I was just so tired.
yeah, the hell with that. That just looked miserable. So I
Yeah.
didn't, so she was technically you kind of been done for like 3 years now, two and a half.
Yeah. I fished the Rollins Classic and I was due in April. So I was how many months pregnant? Like 6 months, but I had a big boy. I was huge. Feet were swollen. Had to pee a lot. That was like, okay. Fish the 2 day, fish both days with my dad. And I was like, okay, I can't do this until after this baby's here. I tried.
Yep. But now the baby's here. Even when the baby was born, obviously she,
Then I couldn't leave him.
you couldn't leave him.
Mama bear.
I didn't want to leave him either. But now he's literally crashed out right now. 7 months old. Holds his bottle with one hand, watches cartoons.
Basically grown already.
He's a grown man. So hopefully now, once Christmas is over, we'll be fishing club tournaments and stuff together because she misses it. So we'll get out there and do that.
Yeah. I don't miss the whole traveling thing anymore, but I miss fishing locally against all our friends.
Yeah.
Fishing against the best on the lake. And like I told him, I was like, I don't know why you want me on this podcast. I haven't been out in forever. I have no idea what the fish are doing or what they need to be. I'm so out of the loop. I need to be back in the loop.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be fishing we'll fish King of the Glades out here or something and Bass Busters or whatever. We'll have more weekends to where we can actually go fishing. So Breezy will be in more videos and we'll obviously do more podcasts and stuff because I like doing the podcasts.
Not too many.
But she feels like nervous and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, there's trying to think what else there is to talk about. I mean, like I said, we're gonna do more of these, but I don't know. Breezy's also cool with like she came up kind of through I didn't go to college, so and I did a lot of tournament fishing and stuff, but like I told you guys, I got out of bass fishing for a long time. I was doing a lot more saltwater stuff and everything, whereas Breezy was doing saltwater too.
Just like in the summer for fun, kind of.
But she was born into not only a bass fishing family, but a tournament family. So like, if you have any questions or like if you have like kids that are very into the sport, or even if you're watching this, if you're a younger angler that's into it, like she's very good at the whole marketing yourself, doing your brand. You fished in college on the college team, traveled. She's fished the Toyotas, traveled as a boater, did all that. And you made a pretty good name for yourself for a while. I mean, you still are. Most people know who you are, but you just haven't been in it. But, like it always goes back to the point where I feel like you always tell all the younger anglers and stuff is just focus on like making a good representation of yourself.
Yes.
Fish with
you have to be presentable. You have to be professional at all times.
Yes.
I even worry about him, his appearance and his punctuation and grammar. Oh, I cringe.
Yeah. But like if
that's because it's my husband.
Yeah.
But I've talked to, the high school kids when they come here about the importance of social media marketing and how you're going to get sponsors and how you're going to keep those sponsors and the benefits and the relationships that you have to build. And so if you have any of those kind of questions, I can answer those for you. Also, if you're a female trying to get into the sport, let me know, because I think if I was still to jump in the southern divisions, I'd still be the only female in the boater's seat for the south. I don't know about the north because there's a lot more females getting into it now. But it was hard for me to get the big title sponsors back then, so I kind of got out of it because it's expensive. So if you're a female, I think you're a little bit more respected now. Times are changing. My girl Anastasia Patterson was on the cover of Bassmaster magazine. So I think times are changing. They're taking us more seriously now. But as a female boater for many years, if you have questions or you're nervous about being a female in the driver's seat, just let me know. Let's talk, because you can make it.
Yeah, it's a cool thing about fishing. Like, there's not a male advantage at all. I mean, there's literally...
I feel like females may have more of an advantage going back to the patience thing. I mean, we're not going to run and gun.
Right. And there's no... I mean, I don't know why there's not... There definitely is an explosion now. I mean, kind of who was it when, like, you were starting? There was, like,
There was some girls out like west, not in our divisions. We had a lady on Okeechobee, runs a storm.
Vicky Bracken.
Vicky, yeah.
Vicky, yep.
She's
There's
a
some,
force
I
to
mean,
reckon
yeah,
with. There's some
there
females
is.
around here. I'm talking about like when you're getting into the MLF stuff.
Yeah, and I don't
And the
know how.
boater
I'm
scene.
very surprised. Like, there's a couple things, and like that's what me and her always used to talk about. Like, this is going to be kind of a double answer here. I'm very surprised you haven't seen listen, like you were a boater, but like I mean, like a true pro on the elites, on MLF, fishing the MLF Big Five. There might be, and I apologize if there is one, but I'm very
There might be now, but I'm so far out of the loop.
Yeah.
I don't know. But when I was trying to do it, I wanted to be like the first going on. You know, not the first. There's some in the past, but like right then, I was the only one.
There's a couple things though. It's like I'm very surprised that one. So how do I say this? I'm very surprised there isn't like when I'm talking like a pro. I mean like a Kevin Van Dam or a Skeet Reese or a Greg Hackney version.
Yeah.
Of a female, of a will, because there's women that can flat out catch them. Yeah. Like she was a boater, you went out, you fished tournaments, but you'll be the first to tell people there's guys out here that fish with their wives, so their wives don't consider themselves like professional anglers, but they catch them.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, for sure.
They're good. And
that rolling series, we've got a handful of women now, and there's like a top angler prize. I think I've won it once in how many years? I mean, they got it going on.
And they're, you know, they can, you know, there's so many women that can fish now. I mean,
I
and
think
they're
you're
always
going to see like a true pro coming up. It's like I said, times are changing. There's more females in the industry. They're going to be taken seriously more. Not that I don't want to say I wasn't taken seriously, not to sound bitter or anything. I had sponsors. I didn't have a lot of financial help outside of family, and it got expensive to travel and do all that. And then we, you know, bought a house, so that was not going to happen. But I don't think I had the backing to make me the first one.
What's crazy to me is that either because, right, you go on Instagram now, you can't scroll past more than 5 pictures without a fishing page posting a half naked woman.
Yeah, that was my biggest battle back then. But now they're not as taken as seriously. Now these fishermen are.
Right. So, but that's the thing. Like, I can't believe from a marketing standpoint that some name sponsors haven't basically taken a female angler and said, listen.
Well, I think they were nervous to put their money in there when there was all these guys that were knocking on the door with the same kind of resume.
But yeah, and
they thought they were more of a sure thing.
That's
they didn't know if I was going to stick with it, if I was doing it just for publicity, or if I had a true passion. They didn't know.
But that's what I mean. That's the double thing. It's like I could see that me as a business owner, if I was, I don't know, who's like some big name sponsor, I don't know, anyone who's looking to pay someone's entries or something, I would probably be skeptical, not just from a woman, but just, if I'm going to look like, yeah, she's a girl, but is she going to catch them? Or is she just doing this for attention? Mm-hmm. Can she, like, if the water temperature drops 4 degrees, is she going to make adjustments, or is she just going to just like, oh my God, it got cold? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Can she actually catch them? Same thing I'd say to a guy, but.
Well, and I feel like going off, can she catch them, is if I had a bad tournament, I was the only female on the pro side of that leaderboard. So they're going to look for my name. And if I wasn't in the top with all these guys that were, you know, they were more consistent. When I left Florida, I mean, I never really did that good. I only did it for a few years, but it's a completely different scenario when you leave Florida. And so I fell down the leaderboard every time. So, I mean, I get it as much as I wanted it. But now, like I said, there's so many more girls that I follow all around the country. There's going to be a big female pro.
But I think it's crazy that there hasn't been a company that has said, I don't care if she can catch them. She looks good and she wears short shorts and she poses and she's an eye candy, and just, which would be funny because for me, like, that does nothing for me. But as a woman, for you, like, I feel like, if someone can fish, right? Guy or girl. This is what I do for a living. As soon as you get on my boat, if you're telling me you've been in a bass club for 11 years and you've been angler of the year 13 years in a row, and you've caught 47 pounds on an Alabama rig and boat flipped everything, and you don't know how to fish every time, right? You could tell by someone's mechanics when they pick up a rod and reel, when they do this, when they do that. They can talk all they want, but you could tell as soon as someone picks up a fishing rod if they know how to fish. So it'd be almost funny if probably piss you off because you're talking about someone getting a free ride at doing your dream. But it'd be like, I'm really surprised from a marketing standpoint. I'm just going to throw a name out there like Hook Clothing. Someone like Hook hasn't found a girl who knows how to turn a key on a boat and does fish tournaments or has, and just said, listen, we're going to pay your entries. We're going to pay you $50,000 a year. Just wrap your boat in hook, wear hook, and you're going to fish. Well, I guess that's the thing. You kind of got to qualify now.
Yeah,
Now they've
now
made
you
it to
do.
we got to have to qualify.
Yeah.
But like, so I
Back
guess
then,
that's
if I had
that's
the
right.
money, I
You
could've
could have done it. So I guess that's maybe why we're not. Well, that might be the perfect thing, because there may be girls, just like there are guys out there, that maybe have the financial backing or they have the help, but
Now they can't qualify.
they can't catch them,
Yeah.
or they're not catching them. Just like you just admitted. When I go out of Florida, I fell apart. We
Yeah.
went to Chickamauga, Santee Cooper. You caught
Oh,
fish.
Santee.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
God.
hated. I loved Santee Cooper. You hated it, but like you can.
Again, spinning reels. I can't throw up to that stump.
Yeah, but you're fine with admitting like I
No,
wasn't well rounded enough.
I was a Florida angler.
Right.
For sure.
Whereas I feel like there's other anglers, male and female, that are out there like, yeah, I can catch them. But going back to the female aspect, because it's all male anglers, but you notice a female.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very surprised, but
I see both sides.
yes, I feel like I'm very surprised that somehow there hasn't been like a loophole that's gotten a female in there, especially with the way the world is now. They'd love to have a female in the sport, and I would love to see one. I just hope. I'm glad they're not doing
they're
it.
In it for the right
yes,
reasons.
I hope whatever female gets it, whether it's any of them, whether it's Hillary Martin or whoever, I want someone that is going to, what's the word? Like, I don't know, make all the other girls proud, because like, was literally like, there's fishing models, right? They walk around these trade shows like they're professional anglers. We go to ICAST every year, and I mean, it's got to make her sick because these girls are getting money rained on them, but they can't tie a knot, So there's that. But then there are groups of women that you're friends with and know that can catch them just as good, if not better, than a lot of the guys out there. So I hope, well, with the qualifications needed now, you're going to have to prove yourself that you can catch them.
It's harder as a female, but it's going to be more rewarding.
Yes, and I can't wait to see. And I hope that the first woman and there might be a woman on the Elite Series. I don't know, though. I don't think. I know.
That closely.
And there might, I don't know. There very well could be. I just hope and even if there is, like, there's a bunch of guys, there's 80 people on the Elites. I think they went up to 100 this year. I know 30 of them, or on the MLF Big Five. I know. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of them, but so there might be a girl, but I hope that the first girl that's like making top tens and I hope she uses that platform to try to do like kind of what you were doing. Like, you're not out there to take pictures and show skin. Like, you want to be treated as a angler. You wanted to be treated as an angler.
Yeah. I wanted them to see me and think, oh, I got to beat her today.
Right.
Not, well, that's just a girl.
Right.
Look out for her running the boat. Probably can't drive.
Yeah. I hope, and I know we're going to see that eventually.
Yeah. Is it raining?
I literally put a new prop on my boat, and I was backing it into my boat shed, and I stopped like 10 feet too early. And I was like, got out, and I noticed it. I was like, why did I stop? I must have hit like a decent sized rock in the driveway or something. And I said, I'm going tomorrow. It's not going to rain, and it's pouring right now. So my boat's screwed. But
The pasture needs water.
yeah. But I don't know. So we're gonna hopefully see girls. I'm all for it.
We will.
You need to.
I'm definitely.
And there, like I said, there's women that
More
catch
power
them.
to them.
You know, and there's, like I said, there's women out there that are doing. I don't know. I guess like that are tournament fishing.
There's a lot.
And there's a lot. I mean,
even when I was in college fishing, and you just signed up to be on the team, was
none.
None.
But now, like she's so everyone watching my channel knows who Scott Martin is, and everyone knows who Hillary Martin is. So your little cousin fishes the high school things against Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
And but Hillary is not the only girl there.
There's a good number of girls, and there's a good number in the college fishing. When I keep up with that, and like the girls that I was talking about earlier, like Anastasia and them, they fish trails like where they live, and they're boaters, but they've just got to, get some financial backing because it takes a lot.
That's the other thing.
They've got to go for it.
And that's what I mean. Like
bigger
that kind of like what you just said, right? Like you admitted that you were a Florida angler and you struggled outside of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the only way you're going to learn is going out of Florida.
Yeah.
But the only way you're going to be able to go out of Florida and fish and learn is you need financial help.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had some financial help.
Yeah.
But
not enough.
It was
to do it year after year.
Dude. Like I went with you to Santee and Chickamauga, and it's like we had an entry fee. The entry fee I think was paid for. The lodging, the fuel, the lures, the baits. You got to think like all this 65-pound braids coming off, putting 12, 14, 16-pound fluoro, whatever. Like all this black and blue crap is out. It's all green pumpkin. Like you got to you know what I mean? It's totally different. So it's expensive. So it's like male and female, everyone needs financial help, and you could learn real quick. There's great anglers out there that are never going to get a shot because they're not going to get financial help. Just in today's world, I'm very surprised that there hasn't been companies that have, like these girls that you follow, been like, all right, this girl's out here. She's literally fishing tournaments every weekend in her home water, or whatever. And you almost had a chance because when there was Bill Taylor from FLW, I don't think this is undisclosed or confidential or anything. No, but I remember when Bill Taylor called you when FLW was still a thing, and he asked you, would you do it if you had a sponsor? Yeah. And would you be able to go? Yes. And she said absolutely. And long story short, the sponsor deal fell through and you weren't able to go. But that's where I'm very surprised there aren't more companies out there that would back a female for it's a big thing on their marketing. They get a lot of publicity because it'd be the only female in the driver's seat. But I think they're just kind of scared because no one's done it in a long time. I shouldn't say they've never done it. There's women in the past. I mean, look at Marianne. I mean, she used to do it. Yeah. But it's just there's been such a gap. We got to start over. Yeah. And I think I've missed that gap. No. Now we got to get. You say that you're 28. Girls. There's guys. I am a mother. There's people watching this going. She missed it. She's 28. No. I'm 30. I'm never going to be able to fish as much and as hard as I used to. But I'm okay with that because being a mom is my favorite job in the world. Yeah, but I get to fish with him, and I get to teach him what I know, and then we get to go out and kick his ass. Hopefully, maybe. Oh my God, I broke this. So yeah, a lot of girls. Yeah, it's good to see. Yeah, there's a lot of them. I was just going to talk about one more thing, and I can't remember what it was. They're probably tired of hearing us. How long have we been going for? An hour and 15. Well, I don't know. All right. So I guess we'll just kind of wrap it up because your monitor, your phone's almost going to die. Yeah. And can't see a little pipsqueak. He's crashed out. But I don't know. This was kind of a rough draft. If you guys have questions for Breezy or me, leave them below. We're going to do, we can do another one where we answer and we'll go down the list. Yeah. Knowing her, she'll have a notepad and write them all down. I'm organized. He's not. And
I needed like an agenda of what we're going to talk about. He's like, just sit down, we're going. Oh gosh.
Yes, and another cool thing is I'm like obviously like I said, she's very good at answering questions on. I mean, even if you're like I said, she's 28 years old, but if you're a 50-year-old angler who's now in the position to try to live out your dream and qualify and stuff, social media is a huge thing. Presence.
That's what these sponsors want to know is how you can help them not on the water. You're already
Right.
doing your job on the water. How you can help them off the water, and the biggest thing, social media.
She full disclosure, Breezy does social media, runs social media accounts for professionals, for
Fishing
companies that are in the industry. And we like literally tonight when I hit stop on this camera, we are going to go in there, go to sleep, or we're going to lay in bed, and she's going to open DMs and we're going to laugh at people at the DMs that she gets on these companies that are just like, I got 65th place out of 80 in my club tournament. Can I get free rods?
That's not even that detailed most of the time. It's how do I join your pro staff?
Yeah, don't do
Can
that.
I get a free rod and promote you?
Yeah, like it's the way people approach being sponsored is crazy. And on top of that,
back in the day, I had a full-on resume. I would write like paragraphs. Maybe I tried too hard.
And
looking at what these people do now, oh gosh.
But you also
no
you would like we'll just say with ARC, because fish with ARC. Like ARC was a new up and coming company when you were like one of the first people. So like they were new. They asked, you tried the rods out, you got with them. But they were up and coming company. But if there was a company you wanted to work for, you sent it to them. Mm-hmm. She works for multiple companies now, and like Harry Potter will send this company an email or a DM.
A DM, yeah.
And then she might also do business with like another company in the industry, and he'll send the same DM to that person too. So he's sending them to 100.
And it's not spell checked. It's not professional by any means, and it's hard to reply to all of them. So here's some pointers. If that's what you're doing, you got to try to find their email or ask for their pro staff email. And don't ask if there's openings, because a lot of times there's not. But if you make yourself stand out, they'll make an opening.
And then if you, at the same time, if you type out something very legitimate and they click on your profile and there's just nonsense on your social media page, yeah. I get it. It's social media. It's fun. But like, she's just very good about answering questions about how you should hold your what's the word? Present yourself. And we'll both tell you being sponsored is not the coolest thing in the world. I mean, fish with what you want to fish with what you have confidence in, fish with what you like. Mm-hmm. And don't just send random emails to companies trying to get some names for your jersey. Like, I get asked that twice a month. Like, how do I get sponsors? How do I want, and I want, I want to work with people and wrap my like, I've told you guys before, the truck I'm driving that's all wrapped and cool was hers. That's her wrap. The only reason it's on there is because we let it sit too long and we still have no idea how we're getting this thing off.
No, if anyone has any tips or knows anyone in our area that takes wraps off, let us know.
Because the paint's definitely going to come off of this thing. We don't know what we're doing. But yeah, like the reason I push ARC rods and stuff is because I like them. She is legitimately like on their what I would call pro staff. I mean, she's a professional, right? Like, you have a very good connection with Louie, as do I, but like, she's been with them for a long time. She's built a great relationship with them. The whole reason I'm familiar with the products is because of me fishing with her stuff. I liked them and I push them. Do I get a deal on them? Yeah, but full disclosure, she gets a much better deal than me because of, and it goes back to also like, you don't have to win every event.
No.
You can win every event, but and
that's just
we know a lot of people, we have this conversation all the time, like, holy shit. Like, yeah, he's good, but he's an asshole. He's would anyone back him from a marketing standpoint, from a someone to you want to be somebody. You're a product at the end of the day. You're a product that another company wants to use to advertise their product. So if they're going to invest in you, that you need to be presentable, and you need to, you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe some of these people that have sponsors, that there's companies that are willing to invest in them, judging by the way they carry themselves, just at these local weigh-ins, so yeah, fish with what you want. Anyway, besides that, like I said, if you have questions on anything like that, we can go over it. And then also fishing questions about Lake Okeechobee, tackle, how we tackle the lake, whatever, what lures we like to throw, whatever the case is. If you have questions, it might be cool. Ask it in the comments, and then we can, because chances are our answers are going to be totally different.
Yeah.
Like, there's a chatterbait laying here. I throw a chatterbait on fluoro. She throws one on braid. That's just like right off the rip. I know that. So, you might ask, what chatterbait setup do you like and how do you like to use it? And then I'll give you what I do and you give what you do. And you might take a little bit from both. I don't know. We're two polar opposites when it comes to fishing for the most part. So if you have any questions, fishing related, ask it. If you have questions on getting kids into fishing, or you have a son or daughter that's coming up in the sport, how you can get them to get better looks, what they should be doing on social media, stuff like that, ask it. I'm going to let her answer that, because of I feel like my social media is okay, but she corrects me all the time on how it could be better.
Yeah.
And
he's gotten better.
Yeah. So hopefully we didn't bore you with this one, but I guess I got to work tomorrow. I love my job, but I do not like waking up early. And
I got to go pack for the woods.
Yeah, this whole hot winter thing has really screwed me up, because I usually tell my people, and we're in December, I'm usually like, yeah, I'll meet you at 10 a.m. because it's usually cold. The fish don't bite till the sun gets up, and I could sleep in, but it's been 90, so I'm meeting him at 6:30. So this is really screwing me up. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't know when my schedule is going to be for doing these podcasts. It'll probably just be random, and chances are you'll probably be the next guest again. I don't know. Give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Did you like Breezy on the podcast? Should I just ditch her?
Thumbs down, because I can't stand my voice either.
I might just, should I just tell her to go play in the room and don't come out while I'm doing this?
I'm okay with that too.
Or did you guys like her on here?
He's been trying to get me on here for over a week, and I've just had like anxiety about it.
Yeah, she's dumb. But I'm going to try and get my buddy Matt on here, Matt Weeda, he announced. I plug his channel all the time, not only because he's a good buddy of mine, but he's literally, guys, like, she's be the first one to tell you, we're both obsessed with bass fishing. But then there's Matt Weeda.
Whole nother level.
Like, I can go on for days. He's very good. I grew up fishing against him. I grew up fishing with him. That was my tournament partner when me and you met.
Yep. I knew Matt. I didn't know you.
Yeah, she fished against Matt. Matt, like I said, I was doing more saltwater stuff. Matt went and bought the bass boat. He was fishing against her for a couple years, and then I just started tagging along with Matt. I'm
excited for him.
Yeah, he's a great fisherman. He's a good dude.
He worked hard for it.
Yes, he's doing great, and he's going to be fishing the tour next year. So he wants to do a podcast. Me and him will get on here, and he's the funniest person in the entire world. So we were going to do it actually last weekend, but sometime in the near future, Matt will be on here. I'm going to try and get my buddy Garrett. He'll have to come by, and he's a stick on Kissimmee. He catches like 35 pounds every weekend.
10-pounder every weekend.
Every weekend. Big deal. And he also does a lot of guiding on headwaters and stuff. So I'll talk to him about that. But I don't know when the next one will be. But the next video you guys are going to see after this is probably going to be my practice video for this tournament coming up. It's kind of crappy, to be honest with you. It's kind of thrown together, but it is what it is. And then hopefully following that is me and Kelly winning the Roland Martin 2-day event.
That would be nice.
That's what we're going to hope for. So I appreciate you guys watching.
Also, let us know if you want to see my cutest little boy Lakey on here because I think he needs to make an appearance.
He's going to be
give
on
his own fishing report.
the next one. He'll probably be on here.
We've had some requests about seeing the baby so they can watch him grow as we do these videos. So
I'm going to just give you guys how you know he's my son. Oh yeah, that's how his dad sleeps right there. He is out. Also, I keep saying also, and then we keep talking. Last but not least, I get a lot of people asking about our farm, asking Breezy's questions. If you guys want, like, hell, we'll set this up in the pasture one day and sit out there on a cool day and drink a beer, and we'll just have the cows walking around. Yeah. If you guys want to see,
we should have a lot of calves, baby donkeys, baby goats coming soon. I think all my females are pregnant out there.
Yes, I've had people message like, Breezy needs to start her own channel with the farm, and it'd blow up way bigger than your channel. It probably would. But if you guys have questions about the farm, leave it. How we got into it, why we do it, I don't know. Just leave questions. So we're gonna go to bed. I appreciate you guys watching.
Sounds good.
And I'll see you guys on the next one. Wish me luck this weekend.
Bye.
Later.